Today is January 11th. O'Hearn finally announced. Cherington saying there's more coming, and the Cubs had a busy week. Let's break it down. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Let's go. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. I gotta point through it. His name is Jake. What's up, Jake?
How you doing, bro?
Doing all right. Miles says he's hates football. He's watching football. You know, the whole thing. Bucko, Mike, Cheryl, Seth, Greg, how you guys doing in the chat? Cubs are making moves, Jake.
Of course they are.
It's about time. In a way, it's about time. You knew it was coming.
You did. And you know why you knew it was coming? Because the Pirates are actually making steps to get a little bit better. You know, this happens every time the Pirates have like, hey, Pirates are actually going to be good. Let's go out and win 98 games. Oh, by the way, the Cardinals are going to win 150. Like, it's just the way it tends to work, right? Every time we start moving in the right direction, the rest of the Central starts getting a little bit better as well. And it's just a little frustrating.
Well, it's not only frustrating, but that's kind of the way it goes, right? When you step up your game, then the rest of your division is paying attention. And so then you have to step up your game. And that's how this is supposed to work. And we're probably going to talk about that. Bucko Mike says Nico Horner probably off to the Yanks. I tell you one thing. I hope they move Nico Horner. That guy's awesome. Listen, he might.
Can they get rid of Ian Happ while they're at it?
Yeah, get rid of Ian Happ. Get rid of Nico Horner. Because of a guy who's played 126 games in the major leagues, they want to change his position. No. Listen, I'm going to say this right. We're going to talk about the Cubs later.
Yeah.
Maybe I save it. Let's put it in the tank. Let's put it in the pocket. We're going to pull that out later. That's not what we want to start with. But we can talk about the Cubs. I mean, they made some moves, so we're going to talk about it. I think that's pretty fair to say. But I got a couple things there, and we'll have to remember. First off, We'll say this. As we transition out of Cubs to come back later, Nico Horner's also like an all-time big league name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if my name was Nico Horner, I probably have made the big leagues. It's a fantastic big league name.
That is absolutely fair.
Is anybody in the chat, do you guys care about the names? Like, do you hear names and say that's a big league name? And there are guys with big league names who didn't make the big leagues.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Anyway, I was at church this morning. They did baby dedications. And it was I don't want to say names because, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But really cool name for a baby. I'll tell you later. All right. Ryan O'Hearn finally announced.
Yeah, well, here's a suggestion. Go get someone who knows what they're doing.
Sky Bolt, Greg says. There's been some good names. Names is definitely a thing, Miles says. Drop some names in there and I'll put them up there. Yeah, Jim's got one. What's up, Jim? So anyway, Ryan O'Hearn announced, and I'm just going to let you go on this a little bit. But the corresponding move was an assignment designated to Chase Sugar. Go.
You sent me Sugar down. I sent this face, right? I looked at my wife. I said, what emoji is this? And so we looked through and tried to find it. And you're like, I don't feel like you like any of the moves. And it's not necessarily the case. I was a fan of Sugar. I don't know. There was just something about him. He was a dog. I liked watching him compete. I'm not saying that he didn't deserve to be one of the ones off the roster. I didn't know if he was there yet. and I was kind of a fan of him. So I was like, eh.
Okay, so behind the scenes a little bit, because you just said that I tell you don't like it. Jake's first reaction to every move they make is negative. It's just his first reaction. Specifically, Jake, when it's someone leaving the Pirates. Because your fandom comes in and you get attached to a player and you hate to see that. You hate to see the players go. The ones you get attached. You'd rather always trade minor leaguers, I feel like. You know,
Sorta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I said that, because Jake's first reaction to all of them, Seth might have found the face, by the way. I don't know if it's going to come across on the stream, but that's pretty close. Those of you on video, that's just a face. I can't do anything about it, so I'm sorry. But
Go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. Do that. He said, "Is this the one?" I think you nailed it, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do. I feel like sometimes your reaction initially is poor, and then you come around to it. Maybe after you. I mean, I think even the O'Hearn signing, your first reaction was, well, I think your default is he stinks, and then you always laugh about it afterwards because you don't really mean it. So that's just your that's your funny reaction to it that you send me.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel like your first reaction tends to always be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, if it was one that you were calling for, certainly not.
Right.
But anything that's surprising, it's like for about 10 minutes, you don't like it.
So for this offseason, it seemed like every move that's been made that wasn't power hitting third baseman.
Okay.
I've been like initially like, wasn't the one I was hoping for. More than I don't like that. Now, of course, I just say he stinks. But it's more been the fact that I'm waiting for us to get that power hitter that thump that we really need. And O'Hearn's a good hitter. He's still not that thump that I'm hoping that we can pull in. We lost out on Schwarber. That would have been thump we really needed.
Mm-hmm.
We got Brandon Lau. That's better. O'Hearn, I mean, you're looking at a 20 to 25 homer guy.
Right.
I was hoping we were, I'm still crossing my fingers, Eugenio Suarez is still out there, even though it doesn't seem as likely as some of us Bucko fans would like to think. I'm still holding out, hoping for somehow there to be some deal made there.
And I wonder if, I don't think so. Like I'm going to preface this before I say it. I don't think so. But I wonder if the Cubs making a move like this adds a little extra juice. And you got to imagine behind the scenes, Ben is going to Bob saying, dang
it, Bobby.
The Cubs just signed Bregman. They just traded for Cabrera. They're making moves. The betting line already favored the Cubs before these two moves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got to keep up in a way. In the same way that we said that the Pirates are making moves, so the Cubs make moves. But you got to kind of keep up. And you have a lot more ground to cover than the rest of, you were in last place. So then everyone else, you have more ground to cover. So, I wonder if something like this puts a little, hey, I know that you maybe weren't keen on this one because of the money, but if we're going to do this thing, like we've already parted with Mike Burrows and Oviedo, let's not make those trades in vain in a sense. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if it works, and I don't even know if there's a pool for that, or if there's, if there's just no interest. I mean, I know that they could have made the call and they could have said, we're not interested. You know what I mean? You and I looked at it, Suarez, 52 home runs or whatever. I think that counts the postseason. We were looking on Savant. And it was like, if he played in Pittsburgh, it'd be a full 10 less. Now that's if you played every game there, and you don't play every game there. Right. But I think as a player, if you're to say, if you're to say I'm 5-6 less home runs if I go to that team, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then maybe it's not as appealing to you. I don't know. Not to mention you're also the underdog. And if there's an opportunity for him to sign with somebody who's not an underdog, and maybe he likes that better too. But we've talked a lot about the options for third base, and I think that's something else. Oh, you know what? So we just kind of skipped past it because of your reaction. But like to go back into Chase Sugar, there are other guys on this roster that I would have liked to have seen go before him. I thought that he was going to provide some innings. Like, I don't know. And maybe there's something I'm missing, but I think Cam Sanders should have maybe been an option. And I think I'd probably have those guys close, but I think Sugar pitched more valuable innings. I know they like Yohan Ramirez because of the stuff plus and whatever else. And they're not looking at ERA, right? A lot of these front offices, they don't look at the production on the mound. I mean, Dowry Moretta is a good example of this. They look at the stuff because that projects, right? And so they like what Yohan Ramirez brings. But like Evan Sisk, I don't know, he's left-handed. Do you just not part with left-handers? I'd understand that if that was the case. So that's okay with me. But, just some of those names that you see on here, I don't know. I mean, you just added Ryan Harbin. You're not going to make that move. But Cam Sanders was the one for me as far as pitchers go that I was a little bit surprised at. I'm also surprised at Emmanuel Valdez. Do we really think, like, what's his path, Jake? Injury.
Yeah.
That's about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, Ryan O'Hearn comes in. A lot of people thought it was Jack Sawinski's time. And they've held on to Jack Sawinski here. Also interesting. So I don't know. I just think of those three guys in particular.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know. I mean, I would throw Brannigan in there. I would throw Billy Cook in there. I mean, he's an older player who they didn't really give a shot last year. Why hold on if you're not even going to give him an opportunity? Now, I would imagine if Kutch resigns, then maybe that's where Billy Cook exits because he is right-handed. He can play outfield. I don't know if they really think that Kutch can play outfield, but at least he can provide a spot for someone to play outfield. So whatever it is, but I was surprised that was the move.
Speaking of Kutch real quick, that was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. That was funny. If you guys missed Kutch on Twitter today, apparently he got the visit to get tested for PEDs.
Yeah, random drug test.
Which seems to be going around because Max Kepler got popped, which is also a hilarious reaction by some Phillies fans. Like, I think we found the one that doesn't work. To be fair to Mr. Kepler, as if it matters, I don't need to be fair to him, but this is probably an off-season thing. He probably was like, I was really bad. I probably needed juice. I got to get better. I can get it out of my system before the season starts. I mean, we've seen that happen a ton.
Yeah.
These off-season programs where they can say, let me take something in the off-season and get it out of my system.
Well, that's when Marte got hit, isn't it?
That's when Marte got hit. There's been several like that it seems like it always comes out around now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Greg says that the Cubs signing Bregman really hurt, has no idea what the Pirates do now. Stay the course. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff, but he also said he was counting on Sugar to be in the pen. I mean, and with options, again, hopefully he clears, but I'm going to be honest, if we're asking this question of why it was him, it's probably a pretty good indication he's not going to clear waivers.
Yeah.
Unless the stuff is just bad. Metrics wise.
Yeah. Sometimes I get it. I get stuff and I get the metrics. And I think there's obviously room to look at them. But sometimes, man, if the dude gets results, period. Even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Go out there and get the job done and compete.
you're projecting forward, I would think. I don't know. I like those kind of
Until it
things.
fails.
And they talk about the same thing. Exit velocity seems to be a hot button, right? Well, that's because if you look at the batting average on balls in play, it goes up with exit velocity, period.
Yeah.
That's why you like exit velocity, because you can either do that or you can't. And chances are, if you're doing that, you have a better chance of having a better BABIP. So that's why they like it, you know? So I don't know. Anyway, that was that. Let's talk about, so with the O'Hearn announcement and an interview and the whole thing, go check that stuff out. I mean, you like everything that you hear from him.
Oh yeah.
At first it sounds a lot like, oh yeah, he's just kind of going through the motions and saying the things you would expect him to say. There is a little bit to, Seth makes a good point. They could trade him while he's in that, you know what I mean? They could make a trade while he's in that limbo or whatever. So anyway, yeah, thanks. I shouldn't have lost my train of thought there.
O'Hearn.
Yeah, there was a lot of like
Going through the
of how he's a different guy on the field. Like he's a competitor. I heard a couple of things like that. Like, we're probably not going to see you smile like this on the field. He's like, not much. So I don't know. I kind of like that. There was some, you know, some clips you can take away from that. I just don't much. Like, he's going to say things that you kind of expect him to say. There are some things that that you like when you hear it, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's one of those guys for me that I didn't really know much about Ryan O'Hearn. And the first little glimpse into Ryan O'Hearn, all right, I'm on board. You know, I gained a little bit of fandom quickly, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Just in his initial interview and his little sit down with Greg Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this little sit down with Greg Brown and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So let's talk about the Ben Cherington comments. That's kind of, you know, that's really your takeaways from that. And it's to be assumed, but it is, you know, he said the things that you'd like to hear. Ideally, we would add in some form to both the starting pitching group and the bullpen group. And also at least one more position player. He later kind of mentioned left side of the infield as he's talking about a third baseman. Like they got to be somewhat vague. He's talking about a third baseman. He said he'd be open to upgrade in the outfield. My initial assumption there would be if they miss at third, if they have to add to the offense still, they'd be open to somebody in the outfield because they missed out at third and they don't like any more third base options. Right? If you get to a place when you go down through the list where you start to like Triolo as much as you like a guy you could sign.
Well, he as much said so in his comments there too, that Triolo's second half has basically earned him an opportunity.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Yeah, Wayno questions their love affair with Cam Sanders. He likes Sugar better. Yeah, it has to be something in the metrics, man. That's the only thing I can imagine. It has to be something in the metrics that they think that Cam Sanders is more of an answer. And I just haven't looked at him, so you know, I don't know. Maybe that's something we should look at. But either way, yeah, I mean, he talked about liking Triolo a lot. And he even said whether that is shortstop, third base, or a guy who bounces around, it's a guy that they like.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's on your roster. You should say you like him. It'd be pretty silly not to. So some of that, I think, is, you know, maybe a little GM sugarcoating. But at the same time, I believe that they do like him. So I don't know how much actually sugarcoating it is, but I can understand a place where when you're going down through, you know, if Suarez is gone, Moncada's gone, Bohm's not being traded, whatever the situation that we've talked about on this show before. There was one more option that I know we talked about that's leaving me right now. But once you go through all of those checks and then you say, well, there's this guy, and you kind of look and you compare him to Triolo and say, let's just take our chances. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could bring this guy in for $8 million and he's not been good, or we can pay league minimum to Triolo, who has just as good of a chance to figure it out.
The dude from Toronto. Barger?
No, I would think Barger would be a clear upgrade.
Right. And that was the other option you were thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
That we talked about.
I got you. Thank you. Totally.
Sorry.
Right over my head. Yeah.
We're doing great.
We're doing fantastic. Yeah, but I do think that there will be some sort of addition, or at least they're going to try to make one more addition to this lineup. They would hope it's at third base. If it can't happen, maybe there's an opportunity in the outfield. And you could do worse, right? I mean, right now you're looking at Mangum as your starting left fielder with O'Hearn getting some time there. And you know what I'm saying? We can maybe talk about that a little bit of what we think this might look like. But also, you got Garcia, who has an opportunity to show up and get some innings. And then after that, it's like, okay, well, if your bench is, if Justinson's on the bench, we've talked about this. He's not a platoon player. He's not a part-time player. He's either starting in the majors or he's starting in AAA. That's the way you treat a guy like that who you think can make an impact even in 2026. You want him playing every day.
Yeah.
So play him every day in AAA until you need him or till there's an opportunity, and then he plays every day. He's not a platoon guy. So you're looking at a Jack Sawinski on the bench. You're looking at Billy Cook on the bench as a fourth outfielder, right? And when you start to look at those options, it does like, okay, well, if you upgrade left field, then all of a sudden those guys are gone and Mangum's your fourth outfielder and he can play all three positions and fill in and do what he wants. And I think that would be an ideal place for them to be. They also could add to DH. This is what I was going to say. Right now you have Ryan O'Hearn, who's kind of your DH, right? But he also is a very good first baseman. He also can play corner outfield. So I could see a situation where they're kind of rotating and you've got O'Hearn at DH, Horwitz at first, Reynolds in right, and those guys can just start mixing and matching. O'Hearn's in right today and Reynolds is DH. O'Hearn's at first today and Horwitz is DH. Let's make sure these guys have their legs underneath them. You could throw O'Hearn in left field in a day and you would have everybody, maybe if Kutch resigns, which we think that he probably will. If Kutch resigns and there's a lefty, then you're pulling Mangum out and O'Hearn goes and plays left field and Kutch is your DH for the day, or Horwitz is out and O'Hearn's there and Kutch DH is for the day because you have somebody else. And so like I could absolutely see them using the DH spot as a way to move guys around and do some different things. And once you're there, now you've got that opened up for Nick Gonzalez to play a game and Brandon Lau to go to DH, O'Hearn playing an outfield spot or first base with somebody else getting a day off, and you get Nick Gonzalez into action. You get, all of these different guys opportunities because you're willing to move these guys around. And I think that that's a really good way to use that spot and to use your full roster to keep everybody fresh and ready. You know what I'm saying? And I like the potential of that rather than going out and getting, just imagine, I'm not going to say I like, if you're saying O'Hearn versus Schwarber, that's not what I'm saying. But like Schwarber would be a DH every day with no option to do anything else. And so you can see the value, even though the player's not going to be, we missed out on Schwarber, so it's not like you're choosing one over the other. You missed out.
Right. Yeah.
But when you pivot, you can see some strength in the ability to move that around. And I think right now you have some versatility. And like I said, it's not Schwarber. And we're not trying to compare it. We straight up missed out.
Right. Right.
But this is a good, where they are right now, you do like that. Do you feel that at all? Have you thought through some of the different options of moving guys around?
Yeah, I mean, it falls right in line with your train of thought. So, I mean, utilizing it to give guys days off, half days off, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Shoot, I would have done it with Schwarber too. Not gonna lie, he would have played right field for me every once in a while.
Okay.
And he might have played a little bit of first base.
Sure.
I mean, it just would have happened.
Just not at the frequency that we're probably going to see O'Hearn do
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say here, the last thing I'll say on this, and we've had a couple, every week we have this in the chat. The one thing he did not say is catcher. He's not talked about catcher at all. They're going to go into the season with Davis and Bart and Flores in the group. That's what they're going with. They're not trading Bart unless it's a surprise. Unless somebody calls wanting Bart. I'm going to be honest with you. You have more of an upside of Bart actually working out than you do getting a return for Bart.
Right.
I just don't know what you're going to get in return for Joey Bart. I don't see. I've heard names thrown around. I don't think that if you're going to another team and you're acquiring somebody that you think has a chance to do something, but he's down, then all you're doing is gambling, and you're moving Bart. Which again, I'm not stuck on Bart, but I'm saying that they're not even talking about this. And I don't know that, like, Endy Rodriguez is nothing as far as the catcher position goes right now. He literally has to play his way back into care. If you know what I'm saying. Like if that sentence makes sense. I don't care until I see it again.
Yeah.
And he absolutely could, but as of right now, I just am not counting on him being a catcher. Flores hasn't been a good one. The bat's there. You like that, but and Bart's not been a good catcher either. So maybe Flores is the replacement, but now you're down to 2. So I think that they're probably, catchers get hurt just as, you know what I mean? They play a lot. It's a thing. So I don't know. I don't see them moving on from catchers. I think they are riding with their group right now. If it's something that they will address, they'll probably address it after this year. Henry Davis needs another year. The behind the dish, working with pitchers is fantastic. He's either gonna come up as a starter this year, and you're gonna say there's hope, the bat's coming around, or he's gonna prove himself as Skeens' guy, and you need to get a starter. As
Seth has a hot take with Henry hitting 20 bombs this year.
That's a hot take. We know he's got the power.
And he's got, the thing about it is he's got the work ethic. We've seen how much better of a defensive catcher he got over one off season.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past him. I'm not going to take that hot take on, but Seth is, and I'll let him have it.
Yeah.
But I think the work ethic is there. I wouldn't put it past him to get that much better at hitting over an off season.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that his pedigree, when we drafted him, was that he can hit.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I probably, like, if you were to tell me he's going to show up in the major leagues, be bad, and then one part of his game is going to work, I would have said 10 times out of 10 it would be the bat.
Yeah.
And it's been the glove. So it's, that's surprise, but that's a surprise. But here we are. I think that, as Cheryl says, I don't think they get rid of Henry if Skeens wants him. That's what I'm saying. He's either going to develop into a starting catcher this year, or he's going to develop into that backup, that he's going to be Skeens' guy. He's going to catch two of the pitchers instead of 3. I think a lot of times that's the way I look at catching. And until somebody shows up and plays a ton of games and JT Real Muto's this thing, I assume that you're going to have one guy catch 3 guys, one guy catch 2 guys, and catchers just split the time.
Yeah.
And then you figure out matchups and whatever else, but these guys are both right-handed, so you don't have to worry about that. So, you know what I mean? right now I would say Davis is the primary catcher, but it's just a barely. It's a
Yeah.
it's a three guys. You see him catch Skeens and Bubba and somebody else, and then you put Bart with Keller, and you know what I'm saying? Like do something like
Yeah.
that with two of the guys and see who works. I mean, Heaney worked better with Bart last year than he did with Davis. Davis worked better with every other pitcher on the staff, but Heaney preferred Bart. So you just never know. But that's just the way that they work the catcher position in. It's not going to be an everyday kind of thing. They're going to split time, and that makes a lot of sense. That's right. Seth remembers Henry was the first player to have a multi-homer game against Ohtani. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's every time you see Henry do something like that, you start to think like maybe this is the beginning. Maybe we're going to unlock something. So I don't know, but I'm still waiting on it. I'm still counting on it. Not counting on it, I don't think, but I'm still waiting to see how that happens.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked at length. We've said this before about third base. I see some trade options. We talked about that. Maybe we'll throw some things on the side as we talk through. But I want to get to this Cubs thing because how do you keep up with the Cubs right now, right? So let's talk about it. They traded for Edward Cabrera. Traded Owen Casey for him too. So sent one of their prospects that way. Now I think there's a lot of people that kind of question the ceiling of Casey, or at least the floor, maybe even, I don't know. But there was 3 players going that way. Edward Cabrera, who finally pitched over 100 innings last year for 137 innings, the most so far in his career. Do you believe, Edward Cabrera, the stuff's there, but is that move in and of itself a needle mover because of how good he can be when he's on the field?
Right. That's the thing is when he's on the field, but when he's on the field, he's nasty. So it definitely moves the needle some for sure.
And you like the rotation, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the Cubs rotation right now, Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera, Cade Horton, who was a Rookie of the Year finalist last year, very good. And then Shota Imanaga, who you're kind of up and down on, right? He showed up. He was really good. The league kind of adjusted. Little home run bugaboo for him. He's a product of the defense. We'll get to that in a minute. And Jameson Taillon, who, obviously we like. Jameson Taillon's your 5th. You've got a good rotation.
Yeah, I think they have a false ace though. I don't think they have a true ace.
That's true.
Matthew Boyd's okay. Like he had a really good year last year, but his career, I looked it up because I was curious. His career ERA is 4.57.
Right.
He's not that good his whole career. He had a good year last year, but I don't know he qualifies as a true ace.
Could Cade Horton, though, kind of step into that role a minute?
He could, but not this year.
And do you think that Justin Steele is the true ace, but injured?
That is more fair than the Cade Horton. Yeah. I need to see it another year from Cade Horton before he makes that big leap up to the front of the rotation. But yeah, when's Steele? Do we know when he's coming back? Is he going to be
probably not? Yeah, probably half the year. UCL, it was elbow surgery in April of last year. So
okay,
you know what I'm saying. You're looking at some point this year he comes back and kind of works it through here. Just a side. We like to keep the chat active, right? We like to do that. So I know that this is a little off, but. Chief here says Henry's not going to play every day though. If the goal is to win this year, we can't count on hopium with this guy. I think you can. That's what I'm saying. I think you can with a catcher whose defensive abilities are where he's at right now. I do think there's room to say there is a chance this guy is at a position in his career that he could break out, but this is kind of the prove it year for him. And it was going to be for Nick Gonzalez, but Nick Gonzalez, because you could upgrade the position, you moved on. If Nick Gonzalez was a good defender, you'd have given him another year to see what he could do at the plate, to see if he could stay healthy. But he hasn't really. It's okay to upgrade that. And you and I were reluctant to do that because we knew this guy could actually figure it out. So for Henry Davis, the fact that the defense is good, the fact that he works with pitching so well, That's the only position where you really do have the ability to see it through and then make a move if it's not, you know what I'm saying? Then you go into 27 saying our catching position is not working. But
Yeah.
at the absolute worst, he's going to catch your ace because that's, you know, like that's the strength of his game right now. So I think that there is room, not necessarily hopium, but just to see what he has.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it for a first baseman. Is that fair? But for a catcher like this,
But for a catcher,
yeah, I think that I am willing to do it for there. So Edward Cabrera is one. The next is Alex Bregman, 5 years, 175. It's not really 175 because there's a bunch of deferrals. This is like what I told you when I said Ohtani got 700 million, but not really. He got 468 million in today's money. You know what I mean? Which is still an absurd amount of money. But it's the same with Bregman. So that 35 million annual is not what he's going to get. Not even on the books. Like that's a ballooned number after whatever we don't know the deferrals and all that stuff, but there are deferrals. It's not going to be 35 million, not real money, not even the CBT money. So it's still, he's getting paid. And the Cubs went out. This is the Cubs. They're in Chicago. They absolutely should be doing this. The fact that they haven't been spending money in the past 5 years is what's making everybody mad up there because they have the ability to do it and they're not doing it. So this is the Cubs flexing the muscles that they have. This is a big market. And sometimes they pretend like it's not because they're in the Central and they think we don't really have to spend money. We can keep up with all these small market teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So finally doing it. But you know, I this to me is the big move. I think Cabrera's good with Steele coming back at some point with some young pitching that's around. Colin Ray was good when he was there. And so, or when he was pitching. So like they have a little bit of a depth option, not a lot, but a little bit. I don't love the Cubs pitching, but if Cabrera's healthy, dude, they could do, you know what I mean? They could be good.
They can pitch good enough because they got a good offense.
And they've added 4 relievers to their they've totally redone their bullpen. I don't love the names necessarily. Phil Maton, Hunter Harvey, Toby Milner, like they're going.
Stats are pretty good.
Going with Palencia as the closer. 22 saves last year, 291. I mean, he's at least shown up. So like there's some good what they've added here. I guess I thought adding 3 guys that played with Texas last year was interesting, but the bullpen got strong. They're adding to it, and they're, like I said, not big names, but they're doing it. Are the Cubs the class right now of the National League Central? The betting books already had that.
I still think it's the Brewers until it's not.
Okay.
I really do. I think to say my piece on Bregman, I think it's a huge move. I think he doesn't replace what they've lost in Kyle Tucker. I think he's a step down from Kyle Tucker as far as offensive numbers. And, you know, but he's a player. Like, he's a very good player. He's going to bring a ton of defense to that infield. With the pitching they have a great defensive infield that's going to help that pitching be better.
Dude. Yeah.
You know, but for me, I just until Milwaukee doesn't show up, because they just find a way to do it every year.
So for me, like, this is the thing I was going to say earlier that I said I'd put in my pocket and bring it out. If you put Matt Shaw at second base, what you're doing is you're ruining something that could be absolutely spectacular. Nico Horner at second base, Dansby Swanson at shortstop, and Alex Bregman at third base. Hands down, easily, not even close to best infield in baseball, I think.
Yeah.
Their defense on that team before Bregman was already elite.
Mm-hmm.
And the proof is there. As Bucko Mike says, Shota had an off year, ERA under 4. ERA under 4, but like a lot of the numbers don't look good. He didn't pitch that well. He was bailed out by his defense a lot. I'm going to pull up Shota's page here because even just fielding independent pitching alone tells you a little bit of what you're looking at. A 451 last year. And so, I mean, yeah, he had a 3.73 ERA, but there was a lot to dislike about his game, including giving up 31 home runs a year after giving up 27 home runs. Really bailed out by his defense. And now they got it even better with Bregman at third. So I think Shota's really kind of set up in a way to, I mean, that's why they opted out of the contract. They were ready to part ways. They offered a qualifying offer, which he unsurprisingly accepted because he's also concerned that there's not going to be a lot, that there's been a lot of things said about Shota and the fact that his results have not been backed up by a lot of what he's been doing. Not that he can't get better. I think Shota's still a good pitcher, but this defense alone right here bails out pitching, which is the other piece to this pitching staff just kind of working because this defense is really good. And we're not just talking about infield. Michael Busch is really good at first base too, but we're not just talking about that. Ian Happ has won Gold Gloves. PCA is fantastic in center field. Most of his WAR numbers are based on the fact that his defense is so good. You know what I mean? And then now you're going to have Seiya Suzuki in right field, and that's not going to be good. With Kyle Tucker out there, it was better. If they really put Seiya Suzuki out there, that's going to be their weak spot. But if you have one weak spot in your defense, I'm not complaining. Like that's a really good defense. I don't think there's a team in Major League Baseball that's a better defensive team than the Chicago Cubs. Specifically now with Bregman there, I think it's kind of not close. Now you could make an argument. I'd listen because it's not like I know every roster right now.
Right.
But putting Matt Shaw at second base kind of ruins a little bit of that. Not that I think that maybe Matt Shaw would be great at second base. I don't know enough. But you can't just force Nico out when you're talking about a guy who's played like 130 games in Major League Baseball.
Right.
We like Matt Shaw as far as, baseball is concerned, but 437 plate appearances, and he was still under league average with a 690 OPS. And so it's just not something that I'm saying Nico Horner's got to go because I got to have that bat. You know what I mean? And Nico Horner actually had a 109 weighted runs created plus last year. So his OPS was 739. Why in the world are we moving him? Maybe just because he's 1 year left, right? So they trade him and then move on. But geez Louise, I would much rather, with this roster and getting this, I would much rather say, let's just get Matt Shaw in the game. Let's bounce him around. Let's let him play. I mean, DH, you've got Ballesteros at DH right now. He hasn't played a whole lot either. So let's mix that in. He's very young. We got him at DH. We got Shaw can DH. Bregman can DH, play Shaw at third. Sometimes like you have a way to move things around. Shaw's going to get at bats. And then when Nico Horner goes into free agency, sure. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Bucko Mike puts in here, Nico plus 17 defensive run saves at second base. Like he's fantastic.
Yeah. Good ball player.
To me, it does make the Cubs a favorite. That's just how I look at it. I think because of the defense, they'll bail out what isn't pitching there, but also the fact that they've made all these additions to the bullpen. They did bring in a starter who, even if he only gives you 137 innings, you might have Justin Steele back by the time he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody else, and you have Colin Ray as depth, you've got some other guys, and the Cubs are never shy to go make a move. If Matt Shaw is hitting and they need another pitcher and Nico Horner's hitting and he's a guy you can move for a pitcher and push yourself over the edge, they'll make that move. You know what I mean? They have other guys too. They've got Kevin Alcantara. They could move him. I don't know how close they think he is, but he's a big prospect. They've already shown they're willing to move Owen Casey in this situation. So there's moves to make. They can push for that if they need pitching at the deadline. I think that because we build these teams on paper, you got to play the games no matter what. But on paper,
100%.
The Brewers are there, but
on paper, the Cubs are the favorite.
The Cubs are going to be the favorite. Yeah. All right, man. We may as well, with the time that we have left here, talk about the rest of the league or rest of the division. Because we just talked about the Brewers, 97 wins. That was the most in MLB last year. They added a relief pitcher for Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. They added Akil Baddoo and a reliever, Sammy Peralta. Basically, bleh, right? I don't know what they've done. They've lost Nick Mears and Isaac Collins. They lost Quintana, Rhys Hoskins, who was a question mark anyway, like of whether or not he's anything that he used to be. Danny Jansen, Shelby Miller, and Jordan Montgomery, like they're not hurting. Will they trade Freddie Peralta? That's going to be a big one. That's the ace. Will they trade Freddie Peralta? If so, what you're looking at from Milwaukee is that they got worse, but they won 97 games. And Jake, this is one thing that we talk about on this show all the time. They're young, and with young players, you expect them to improve. Just like we expect our young players to improve. Jackson Chourio, I expect to improve. He's 21, 22 years old, right? You got these guys, Caleb Durbin, who knows, but maybe Joey Ortiz now playing full-time shortstop. I actually like that player, and I know that like offensively it wasn't there last year, but it still could be. The defense is really good, but everybody in that lineup was really good last year. Is there a little bit of regression in line for them? Maybe. That's why I say Cubs are there. They've got a lot of mid-20s guys, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're super young. They're super good. They're super athletic. Like you said, they can go one way or the other. Some of these guys, some of them are in their sophomore year, so sophomore slump's a real thing. But they also absolutely could take another step forward. Jackson Chourio is the real deal, man. I don't see him taking a step back. I just see him getting better. Some of the other guys, I think Joey Ortiz is going to get a little bit better. Now that he's been playing more, he's already an elite shortstop, a really good defender.
And you just look back to 2024 with Ortiz when he was playing third. He was a little bit above average hitter. If you can just get him up to being a league average hitter with good defense, he's going to fit in a lineup full of guys that hit.
Yeah.
And the rotation, if they keep Freddie Peralta, Jake, you've got Peralta, Woodruff, which I think is a little bit of a question mark myself. But then you have Mizorowski. Is he real?
It's a great question because, you saw absolute brilliance out of him, but you also seen him get roughed up some too. So,
I don't think that he lives up to the hype, but I still think he's a really good pitcher.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the hype just maybe went a little too high.
Yeah.
Quinn Priester, though, did he figure it out or will he regress a little bit? It's to be known. I don't know a whole lot about Chad Patrick, the mid-3s ERA, but I don't know much about how he looks going forward. But he's only 27, so hard to argue that's
the back end of their bullpen's nasty, though.
Uribe and McGill, very good. Very good. What is it? Koenig, Ashby, like really good. They went and got Zerpa, who, might be, it's another lefty out there. And you would think that Rob Zastryzny is going to be gone. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of guys there and they figure out a way to do it up there. They really do. And they've got
really good coaching.
Really good coaching. They can build a roster, not just names, but they can build a roster.
And they just signed like a really good hitting coach too.
You're talking about Danny Burgers.
Vogelback.
I thought you were going there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to let this cook for just a second and see if he's actually serious. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing,
Mike,
Jake, is, okay,
Mike,
so.
Mike, I like this because I'm going to get to go see him play some this year because he's going to be at AA for at least half the year. So I'm going to go watch him over here in Biloxi. Jesus made 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the audio listeners, he's talking about Jesus Made, 19 years old. I think he's still 18 currently, but he'll be 19.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fantastic.
I seen him. I went to see his debut in AA and he hit a bomb. He's good.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next team that was there, Cincinnati, because I think that this is a really easy one to be critical of. It feels like the front office is basically uncommitted to making the team better. They were in on Schwarber as well. I don't know why they're considered to be a better offer for Schwarber than what the Pirates did. To me, it was much worse. They added the year, but they didn't add any money. So really made it a lot less. And they basically came out and said that was our only shot that we're going to shoot. And what they've added is Dane Myers and JJ Bleday platoon in left field, which they needed outfield help. They have outfield help on their roster. If they would just move the perennial errors leader to the outfield off of shortstop, that's what I would do. But it's not worked here, so why would it work there? Just leave him there and let it happen.
Probably because we moved our guy to center field.
Well, you have to with the athleticism. Like if you move
other guys, you've seen other guys get moved to right field and it works.
But if he's going to the outfield, you're going to move. I guess you'd move him to left. Because they've just moved Noelvi Marte to right field. The arm plays out there. He's not going to run center. TJ Friedel's in center for him. You actually don't hate that player, obviously. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a good player. So if Ellie goes to center and he goes to left, that's fine. If Ellie just goes to left. But I just don't think you do that. I think you want him, that athleticism in center field. But they still think that there's a shot he plays shortstop. So
you think the athleticism is that much better than Fernando Tatis Jr.? Because his athleticism is off the charts too, and they moved him to right.
They did,
and it's worked out great.
Yeah, it has.
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a good point. I don't know that they're really the same. They don't feel like the same player to me, though. I do think Ellie's faster than Tatis. And you know that Tatis is the way that he's going to age probably fits better in a corner. And Ellie may not. I don't know. It's a good point. But Marte's not playing anywhere but right, or third base. I guess you could move him to left, but I don't know if that's great either. Anyway, it's really easy to be critical, but they brought in Caleb Ferguson. Like I said, they brought in a platoon for left field. Dane Myers will crush lefties. JJ Bleday is a huge question mark, but the thing is can I get him to work out? And now you basically can say who's going to win that spot, Bleday or Will Benson. But they're only going to play against right-handed pitching anyway. One of those two guys is going to come out. They just added Pierce Johnson to the bullpen. I don't know anything about that. But you have the same thing. You've got 24-year-old Noelvi Marte, who you can say, he should get better. You've got Ellie De La Cruz, who's 24. He should get better. And then you've got Matt McClain, who had an injury, so although he's 26, still he should get better. I don't know what you're doing. I mean, Hayes is not going to get better at the plate, but he does what he does at third base. You've got Sal Stewart on the bench, who's only 22 years old. He should get better. He's going to force his way, maybe even push Ke'Bryan Hayes out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you just brought it, like I said, you brought in a platoon of some guys that were, guys that you liked at one point, and they'll fit the platoon option if they work out. But the thing is, and I think I saw something out here. Yeah, Chief says the pitching is very good. Hunter Green's a true ace. An absolute true ace would be on just about any team. He's on the short list of guys. Andrew Abbott is very good. Only 26 years old, both those guys. Andrew Abbott, sub-3 ERA last year. The fact that they're doing that while they pitch at Great American Ballpark is even more impressive. And then they've got Brady Singer on Fangraphs listed 3. I'm sorry, it's Nick Lodolo. I love Nick Lodolo. I always have. Nick Lodolo's fantastic lefty. Maybe they're splitting them up. That's fine. And Chase Burns came in and just threw absolute bullets. I think the verdict's still out on him, but he's only 23. So you're going to wait and see when he has electric stuff the way that he does. They're set up very well.
Yeah. Yeah, pitching is not a problem.
No.
Rotation.
No. And not to mention, Rhett Lauder is waiting.
Yeah.
Also, another guy who could be very good. And there's more young guys coming, obviously, with Christian Encarnacion Strand, who's kind of in that late 20s trying to figure it out, right? And he could show up. So there's guys to like. The bullpen, I don't like Pagan. He had 32 saves last year. The ERA is good. Everything's good. I don't like him. There's just something about him that I think that I'm not relying on him, but that's who they're going with in the closer role. I like the addition of Caleb Ferguson. I would have liked it if the Pirates would have done it too. Santillan had kind of a tale of two years. It seemed like every bullpen lead they blew, he was on the mound for it. But then at the end of the year, he was reliable and ended the season with a 244. So there were some blown opportunities early, but he figured them out.
Yeah.
Graham Ashcraft, I still think there's something in the tank for him. Although if you talk to Reds fans, they can't stand him. He must have been another guy that was on the mound for a lot of those bullpen woes of last year. This team's not bad. The fact that they're young and they can get better, you would have liked to see them add something to the outfield. Well, we wouldn't have liked to see it, but if you were a Reds fan, you would have liked to see them add something a little more solidified in that outfield mix rather than trying to figure out left field in spring training. But I mean, or first base, and Spencer Steele could have played left field. That's possible too. Gavin Lux can play left field. He's currently on Fangraphs, their DH. So like there's options there. The Reds aren't bad. I just don't know if they got a lot better. They won 83 games last year. Maybe they win 85. But now you see where the Pirates have to be in order to even be, like we just said that the Brewers and the Cubs were better than them.
Yeah.
So if we're going to get a wild card, we got to be better than the Reds.
Yeah.
And
you got Tito in the dugout too.
Always a game changer. Really, really always a game changer. So I don't know. There's a lot to like on this team. If you're a Reds fan, you're probably you're bummed that they're not making moves, but you probably feel okay.
Yeah. You're not getting super excited, but you're not mad about it either.
Yeah. And there you go. Bucko Mike. Tito's probably the best manager in the division. I'd think about that for a while. Certainly wouldn't argue it.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue it.
You got, obviously, Counsell gets all the accolade or gets all the credit for being as good as he is. But then, Murphy's done a pretty good job with back-to-back Manager of the Year awards.
Yeah.
As far as longevity, though, I mean, Tito's got the credentials.
Yeah.
And yeah, Miles, I agree with you. Reds feel really similar to the Pirates at the moment. And they have for the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They really feel very similar. It seems like everybody I talk to, they complain about the same things that we complain about. They like the same things that we like.
It's like whose prospects are going to blossom the best.
Yeah. And offensively, they've got a head start because of the fact that they get to hit at Great American Ballpark. And our offensive players have to hit it at PNC Park, which is just not easy. And I know some people like to say the thing about right field. It's only a short porch down the line. Same with left. Left shoots straight out. That right field wall goes all the way to 370 and it's still 21 feet high. You got to hit it. 370 in the gap at 21 foot high fence is not easy.
No.
So it's only a short porch. down the line. And even then, like as O'Neal Cruz knows, there's been a few balls he's hit off that wall that probably have been home runs most places.
Oh yeah.
Because
There's
there's missiles and they would have kept, like in Cincinnati, their home runs and they're not because they hit the wall. Right. And so, you know, Bucko Mike talks about Rhett Lauder again. I mean, Chief says this division's turning into a beast. I feel like it always is. The surprising thing is that the Cardinals are not in the mix. Yeah. Usually when this division is really good, and we can talk about it all we want, but like you had 3 teams in this division in the postseason last year.
Yeah.
Say what you want about the Reds, like entry and exit, but they were in. And you also had the team with the most wins in Major League Baseball right here in this division. I just think that this division gets slept on because Chicago's the only big market. And the Central in both leagues gets slept on a lot because of the fact that it's not it's not California, it's not the East Coast, and it kind of gets slept on a lot. I think the American League Central has a lot to be desired. However, the National League Central, I think these teams are teams that are in it, except for the Pirates. These teams are in it. The Pirates and the Reds are the teams that kind of are wishy-washy with this. And coincidentally, great history for both teams. Yeah. They need to be in the mix. Both teams need to be in the mix.
Yeah. Whether Major League Baseball wants to admit it or not, Pittsburgh needs to be in the mix.
I think Major League Baseball believes that. Same with Cincinnati. I think the fans who haven't grown up with a good product here, they don't know that, right? Your casual fans don't realize that the history that's been here, and they don't care either. And that's fair.
I go off because I watch a lot of MLB Network, so I go off what I hear and what I see from them, and you just see a lot of slap in the face to the Pittsburgh from there. So that makes me feel like MLB doesn't realize Pittsburgh needs to be in. I mean, they have a whole room on MLB Network that's the Clemente room. Like, it's a whole thing. But yet they just dump on Pirates a lot. And it's frustrating.
But watch when the Pirates are good. We saw it in 13, 14, 15. When they're good, it's better for the game. And they'll admit it. I think they're just tired of the fact that it's been failing. And it's almost like they go out of their way to talk bad about the Pirates. And I think it's because if you're a true MLBer and you're a true, like, you care about the history of the game and you care about whatever, then I think you're just mad. Rightfully so. It's been mismanaged. Yeah. They've not been in the mix. You could say a lot of this has to do with money and things like that. That's fine. This has been done to them as much as it's been done by them, but it's been done by them. They've not been good, and they should be.
Yeah.
And
it's fair.
You know, Chief says MLB put us on national TV for opening day. They know we're coming. They also know that Paul Skeens against the Mets is going to get people to watch. So we are fortunate right now that Paul Skeens is on the team and that it's moving that way. Greg, I've noticed this a lot lately too. Robert Murray, he says, is the only national guy who doesn't dump on us. He has in the past. I think that Robert Murray might be drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. And so or at least let's say he's given credit where it's due, where some guys are kind of not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So after all of this talk about do we really need to sit here and spend time on the Cardinals?
My goodness. They've added a ton of relief pitchers. Not the same quality of what the Cubs have added. And they've lost Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray, Miles Michaelis, that's whatever. And they're probably going to lose Donovan. So no, they should be. If we don't finish above the Cardinals, it's awful. This is an awful season.
Donnie Kelly's gone.
Everybody's gone. It's going to be bad. Like that. They are punting, and you know that the Cardinals will figure it out. But this is a clear punt, and they're trying to regroup, and they've got the money to bounce back probably pretty quickly. We went through a 5-year rebuild and failed to come out of it in 5 years. They'll go through a three-year rebuild and succeed. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So, Pirates added Ryan O'Hearn, Jake Mangum, Brandon Lau, Mason Montgomery, Gregory Soto, Justinson Garcia, and more. There's 3 more players this team should acquire and plans to acquire. Whatever that looks like, we'll see who they are. And they've lost Burrows and Oviedo. Now, there's a longer list of guys. There's a lot of guys, but a lot of this is kind of taken out the trash. In a way. I mean, I don't like to say that about people, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously we like Dowry Moretta, but like Colin Holderman wasn't working out. Canario, nobody knows why he was even on the roster the whole year. Samaniego was probably added to the roster just to trade. Cam Devaney didn't work out in the little time that he was here. G1 Bay, I didn't even write a position by him because he can't play any of them. Leover Peguero never worked, and Tommy Scam was, well, he was what it is. It's taken out the trash in a way, and maybe those guys will catch on somewhere else, the younger guys, not the guys whose best days are far, far behind him. But Mike Burrows and Oviedo really are the guys that you lost here. And in some ways, Dowry Moretta as well. But none of these guys are Bregman impact.
No.
But I don't know that it has to be. So what does it take? Is the division out of hand? Can this team actually, Eugenio, Quintana, and Sir Anthony Dominguez, does that get you in the conversation for, and I'm just throwing names out there. Does that get you in the conversation for division, or are we still looking at wild card with that?
I mean, I think it gets you in the conversation for sure.
Okay.
Anytime you add a bat that's going to give you 30 plus homers, almost guaranteed, to a lineup it's already trending on the side of this is starting to look like a good offensive team and our pitching is that good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it puts you in the conversation.
Yeah. Chief brings up a point here that's kind of where I'm at here. Maybe the Bregman signing will open the floodgates for the rest of the third base market. I think what it also does is it might uptick the activity in the NL Central.
Yeah.
You might see the Brewers say, you know what, we can't afford to trade Peralta now.
Yeah.
You might see the Pirates say, you know what, we weren't going to go that far for Suarez, but we will. Or worse yet, you might, or whatever, however you say it, the Reds might say, we need a reunion with Suarez now. Hayes is out. Suarez is in.
Or they just plug him in at DH.
Or they plug him in at DH. Yeah. And I mean, there's, certainly options to do things there. I mean, even with Sal Stewart coming into the situation, I mean, Sal Stewart could be an asset to this offense as well. And he's a third baseman too. So it's hard to say, but I don't know. Like if that's your guys, does that do it? Greg puts in here, I have a prediction. The 3 remaining guys, Andrew Chafin, so another lefty, Jose Quintana, and Alec Boehm. And if you do that, like I'm still saying wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm on the Suarez piece. I think I'm still saying you got to go for a wild card here. I think either the Cubs or the Brewers are going to get over 90 wins. And I'm reluctant to get the Pirates to 90. 71 wins. I'm reluctant to get the Pirates to 90. I know that there's pieces of this. I mean, who's your best player on this team right now? Who, if you were to pick right now in the chat, I want you to do this too. In the chat, we're not talking Paul Skeens. I want to say position players. Let's just talk about the offense. Okay, so we're leaving Skeens and let's just say Chandler out of it because Chandler has the ability to break out too, right? So let's leave those guys out of it. Let's say position players on offense in the lineup, and I want to see what the chat says. Who ends the season with the highest WAR, or who comes out as the best player on this team at the end of the season? Chief says Brandon Lau.
That's where it starts. I mean, yeah. But I'm willing to bet. I'm going to say the person ends with the highest WAR is going to be Reynolds. I think he has a huge bounce back year.
Oh, Nelson. Hey, Nelson, how you doing? I don't think I've seen Nelson in the chat here tonight, so saying hi to him. He says Connor Griffin. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
If he's up here
Be fun
early,
to watch. Be fun to watch.
Spencer Horwitz, Greg says, I like that move too. I don't know that. I don't think the ceiling's quite there, but I like that. Miles is going with Horwitz and Lau. Sherrod's going with Connor. Jake, I was hoping that you would go somewhere else. I'm surprised we haven't seen anybody, maybe even just for the memes or the maybe just to throw a grenade in the room or anything, saying O'Neal Cruz absolutely has, with protection around, has the ability to actually show up and blow up. And so he could be the guy. But
there's just going to be more protection for more people.
Jake, when
you have the potential for more breakout, or breakout would be O'Neal Cruz, bounce back for Reynolds. These things are going to start to unfold with the more quality hitters you put in this lineup to put around them. Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn makes 2 to 3 players better just because they're in the lineup.
Right. And O'Hearn's a guy who figured it out. So when you want to look at Ryan O'Hearn as a career and say, what's this guy done? Jake, he has a career 3.1 WAR, baseball reference WAR. And the reason I bring that up is because he had some negative years in Kansas City. So what's his top end? He had 2 WAR in 2024, 2.4 WAR in 2025. Now, he is blossoming in. He's just turned into a guy that says, don't just play me against righties. I can hit lefties too. He's figured it out the last 2 years and shown up. Last 3 years, 122 OPS plus, 119 OPS plus, 125 OPS plus. A lot to like out of Ryan O'Hearn.
Mm-hmm.
But that WAR number is getting to a certain number where you look at Brandon Lau, who has 17.8. In 2021, he had 4.6. He had 2.4, 2.9, 2.1, 2.4. Defense brings that down a little bit for him. Sometimes I think we forget that in 2021, Brian Reynolds had 6 WAR.
Yeah.
And the year after 3, 2.4, 3.6, and 1.4 last year, even though most of the year was terrible. Yeah. Brian Reynolds is still the best player on this team. And I'm reluctant to say it because we all feel like he's not. We've said the things like he's probably a good complementary player when you have a stud. But when you look at the numbers, now, obviously, if we get Kutchback, those are going to be the highest WAR numbers. But he's not there. He's not doing that anymore.
Right.
But when you just look at the pedigree of what the guy's done in his career, if he bounces back, you're talking about a 3 to 5 WAR guy. And some of these guys might not be able to get that high. So I think there's a possibility that we still are looking at Brian Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he has protection, now that he's not the guy in the lineup, could he actually be the guy? And I think there's a chance that he is. O'Neal Cruz, 2.5 WAR last year with a 114 OPS plus. If this dude hits, he had 21 home runs. He's a 3, 4, 5 win player. If Connor Griffin's on this roster for a whole year and it's working, he's a 3.5 WAR player. You start to see things that you like out of this lineup when you expand the lineup and make it longer. But I think it's a legitimate question to who is it? Cheryl says, I'd love to see Reynolds bounce back. She also says she thinks it's Connor. You said something that Miles thinks is absolute truth. I mean, I don't know which part that was. I wasn't on it. Can't make myself pick Cruz. I'm kind of out on the O'Neal Cruz experience. Whatever we get from him is a bonus. So we got a lot of people hating on O'Neal Cruz right now. Not that Cheryl and Chief are hating on him. I especially like the way Chief worded it. Whatever we get from him is bonus. He's not shutting him out, but
yeah,
he's not counting on him. And I think that's a fair way to do it. And I think the worst thing you can do is put O'Neal Cruz 6th or 7th in the lineup after all the damage. Put him right in the middle of it because he has the potential to be the guy. Put him right in the middle of it. He started off the year really good last year, and then the league was like, we're not pitching to him. Well, now you have to, unless you put him clear at the end. If you put him clear at the end of this thing, then there's nobody behind. If you hit Triolo behind him or Nick Gonzalez behind him, then you've essentially just ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
Put somebody that hits behind him, and now all of a sudden you have to throw pitches to O'Neal Cruz. That's kind of the way I look at it. But
this should be a fun episode this year when we go to do our. We should have better predictions this year. Like when we do our, I can't think of the crazy predictions. And all those, the hot takes,
Milds and Wilds or whatever the heck we call them.
This should be fun this year.
Yeah.
Because I'm brewing on one right now. Hopefully I don't forget it. Here.
Miles says
right here.
The lineup additions making 2 or 3 batters better is what he was talking about. I totally agree with that. Greg, Greg says, I lost faith in Cruz because he doesn't seem to care about baseball very much. This is a common theme. I can't disagree more. I understand what the comment is because there's a lot of people that say this sort of thing. I just don't think it's true.
Yeah.
We had the same kind of comments about Pedro Alvarez. Some guys are just, when they're not doing well, they wear it.
Yeah.
That means you care. And that's the way I see Cruz. When he's struggling, he wears it. And there's going to be guys in that dugout that are trying to get him to loosen up. And you're going to get some jokes and here and there. He really needs to loosen up. You should see the smiles. Baseball's a failure sport, man. If you can't smile when you're failing, and I'm not saying like happy-go-lucky, but you have to be able to let that at bat go and move on and go after the next one. And when he's locked in, he's also not having fun. It's like this guy's somewhere, like he looks possessed sometimes. And you want to see more of that.
Yeah.
But I don't see the careless thing. We went over this after last year. We looked at how many times he sprinted down the line, and it was way more than what we thought it was. And so we kind of did the deep dive on this show last year and saw that this guy's not like he's awkward. He's 6'7". He's awkward.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the attitude. I just don't know about the attitude. And I'm not going to talk about this because I don't have any details on it. But we've heard through the grapevine, through different things, and it's been alluded to that there were some back home issues going on with O'Neal Cruz last year. And I'm sorry, we're human. I'm willing to see that through and see if there was anything changes. And that's a big thing if you want to read that one from Shared.
Yeah, Shared. I've shared this one on purpose because it's good. The attitudes change and you're winning is exactly... If you're struggling and your team's losing, you're going to wear it even more.
Yeah.
You're going to be even harder on yourself. And you might even press even harder and dig yourself into a bigger hole. If you're scuffling a little bit, but your team's still winning, it's a little easier to bounce back from. It's a little easier to get out of that slump if you are the only one slumping on your team and your team's still winning.
Yeah.
Because you can joke around about it a little bit more. You can stay loose and eventually you'll start hitting again.
Right.
But when your team's losing and everybody's in a bad attitude, you're just going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that hole.
Yeah. And actually I was going to bring this up, but I noticed Greg even said it. He didn't seem to try. And I think that's just a perception that's probably incorrect. Nobody talked like that. I mean, everybody, when you listen to them talk, they talk about how hard he's working, and you should be working in the background. I think that Cruz quit on Donnie Kelly. Donnie Kelly didn't quit on Cruz. He didn't act like there was any problem there. He's He talked well of him. So I don't think that there's anything there. And the numbers look like that happened because he was good when Shelton was there and then he was bad. But you got to understand, like, also in the dugout, and we don't know when things happen here and there and whatever else, but when they fired Shelton after that start, as a player on that team, you kind of felt like you just said we gave up. That the organization said, we're giving up, we're moving on to next year.
Yeah.
And you kind of lost enough games to say, we're not climbing out of this. Look around the clubhouse. No matter how much you like the guys around you, this team isn't equipped to come out of this hole.
Right.
This roster is not good enough, even if we all play well. Not to climb out. You were good enough to, if you all played well, to be a 500 team. You know what I mean? Like, but that's about as good as you could have got, was even back to 500.
Yeah.
And that was playing stellar. And they also stopped pitching the same to Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was an adjustment. Last year was very brutal, Chief. It was very brutal. Tough to watch. And I think part of that is because they should have been better than that.
Yeah.
Not that they should have been good. I don't think the roster was there, but Ron, I'm not sure how you mean that, but there actually is a lot of truth into this. If there is a moment for Cruz, by the comment for the audio listeners is Cruz is a man child who needs a come to Jesus moment. And there is sort of that, like, this guy has all the stuff. He's got all the tools. And there needs to be a moment when it clicks. And if it does, yes, you're talking about a star. That's the thing, is the potential isn't to be a good player. The potential is for him to be a star. And the league is already treating him that way. The hype is there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I talked to fans of other teams who were like, oh, but you got O'Neal Cruz. And I'm like, are you watching? Like, it's not good. But you see the exciting things about Cruz. And so you just think this guy's got to be fantastic. Well, he's not. He's not playing well. You know what I mean? So like
it's not translating yet.
Yeah, but like everybody, the perception is there that he's really good. And so I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of things. Ron also says it's time to say let's go Bucks and actually mean it. That's good. And Bucko Mike, you're right. Good player first, then a star. I agree. But I think if it clicks for him, I think he gets there really quickly because of the attention he already gets.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that. But yes, he needs to be good. I've heard people say, we're forgetting, he led the team in home runs. He led the team in stolen bases. He led the league in stolen bases, guys. Like, not just the team. He led the league, and this guy didn't even get on base. Under 300 on base percentage, and led the league in stolen bases. It's all there. If he just gets almost there, it's 50 steals.
Yeah.
He was only 12 away from that. He has. I don't know if it ever happens, Jake, because tall guys are awkward guys a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it ever actually happens. Defensively, I have my doubts. Offensively, I think it's there. And it's funny because it's a guy who, because of the launch and all the stuff, he's really never done a lot more than 20 home runs. But we all think it can get there. 10 years down the road, Jake, do we look back at O'Neal Cruz and say, another Polanco just never worked? Yeah, we might.
Possibility.
I mean, we absolutely might. I'm not sitting here saying that like it's just a matter of time. Like, there's a chance that we look back, but there's also a chance that he has a 3-4 year stretch of being one of the game's stars.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. And I'm just not buying, because I don't know the person. I'm just not buying the mental, the effort. I don't buy that stuff. I think my first inclination is that all these guys try hard, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until I start hearing people say that he doesn't. And right now, we've heard the complete opposite. Then he doesn't try. We don't ever hear that from anybody. Now, maybe they're sugarcoating it. We might find out
Right.
later he doesn't try. And I'll raise my hand. That's fine. But I'm only saying I give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not sitting here saying because of a look that a guy has on his face that he's not trying. I remember doing this with Pedro Alvarez. He never looks upset when he strikes out. He never did. He tried to stay here. Some guys, when they're bad, they don't throw bats. They don't hit water coolers. They don't slam their helmet off the ground. Some guys just pout. And we look at that negatively, but we don't look at the guys who smash bats in the hallway as negative. And I think it's equally as negative. You deal with things. The most important thing is how you get out of it.
Yeah.
Bucko Mike says, has a chance to be Eric Davis. I don't know. It seems that he's just such a polarizing figure that he keeps coming up. I know that there's been some talk around the block that's based around him because it's just, it seems like the hate is there. And I think it's subconsciously there because you know that he has the ability to be the guy.
Yeah. I mean, even O'Hearn said it as much. He said, oh no, Cruz can put your team on his back at any moment. He's just got the tools.
And for the first time, Jake, they've built a lineup around him that could make that possible.
Yeah.
The thing is his floor is low. That's the thing. Actually, I don't even know if it is, Jake. This is probably the floor. He had 20 home runs and led the National League in steals. That might be the floor. This was his worst season. He had an 87 OPS plus. It hasn't been under 105 until 2025.
Yeah.
This was his worst season, and he had 20 home runs and led the National League in steals.
Yeah.
So actually, the floor's not really all that low. He led our team in homers and led the league in steals. He's I stand corrected. Key Brian Hayes has a low floor.
Yeah.
This is not a low floor, actually. I don't know. I think about that for a minute. You know?
Yeah.
All right, man. We got to get out of here. It's been long enough. Appreciate you guys in the chat. This has been an interesting and fun off season. And hopefully 3 more players makes it really interesting. But I think the moral of the story that we found tonight, Jake, is that the Pirates had so much ground to make up in one off season that even if this is it's already been a good off season. Even if it's fantastic, I don't think I can pick this team to win the division. That's how much ground you had to cover this year.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that?
No, I mean, you can't say much different than that.
Rooting for O'Neal Cruz because that's how this team works. Him and Reynolds are actually probably the most important players, not the new acquisitions. The new acquisitions can unlock those 2 players, and they might actually still be the best 2 players on this team.
Yeah.
Might not. Thanks again, guys. Always appreciate it. Come back next week for another one,
where we may talk a little bit about some pitching and the young pitching that we have. So, yeah, come back.
Yep. Let's go, Bucks.
Let's go, Pirates!
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!